Hey everyone, Jake here for Extreme Terrain, and in this video we're taking a look at the Barricade PNC side step bars in black, fitting 2022 and newer Tundra Crewmax models. If more access and clean, simple style is what you're looking for in a side step, then these are going to be just what you're after. Featuring solid construction, a nice clean look, and one of the best prices in the segment, these side steps from Barricade are everything you need and nothing you don't. Trucks have really gotten big, and the new Tundra is no exception. And especially if you're planning on lifting your Tundra, or even if you're a bit vertically challenged like I am, a good side step is not going to go amiss on one of these newer, larger trucks. And the PNC side steps we have here from Barricade are designed with simplicity in mind. They're meant to make accessing the cabin of your truck just that much easier. As you can probably already tell, these are a more traditional side step, meaning that they are going to run the full length of your cab. They feature 45-degree rounded ends for a little dash of extra style, but more importantly, they feature a wide oval design that is flat on top and rounded on the edges with two non-slip pads, one for each door. So you'll have plenty of grip even in the worst of weather conditions. And while it's not their main purpose, these will also provide your truck with some added protection. Since they run the full length of the cabin, they're going to take the hit if you're out on the trail and come across an obstacle. They do drop down a bit further than some more off-road oriented options, so they do cut into your overall ground clearance a bit. But that's not going to matter too much if you're lifted, and it also won't matter unless you're really hitting some serious off-road trails. Now these things are pretty darn solid. Barricade starts out with heavy-duty oval mild steel tubing and finishes everything off in this nice textured black powder coat for added corrosion and rust resistance. The step pads are made from ABS plastic, so they should be able to stand up to the elements quite well and last you quite some time. The brackets too are made using steel. This is pretty thick stuff, and it's also coated to add protection. So the entire setup should be pretty solid for quite a while. Pricing might be the best part of this kit though. Coming in at about $275, these are some of the most affordable side steps on the market for this gen of Tundra. They're good value for your money, and if you want access and a little protection for not a whole lot of coin, these are going to be a great option for your build. Installation gets a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you about 2 hours to complete. Now these are a bolt-on setup, so you don't need to make any modifications to your truck, and everything you need comes included in the box. Not much more I can say about it here, so with that, let's head on out to the shop and we'll walk you through the process.
The tools you'll need for this project are a ratchet and a 12 and a 13 millimeter socket. Hi everyone, today we're installing a set of side steps on our Tundra, so let's get started. Now the brackets for these side steps are side specific, and they are all stamped either DF or DR for the driver's side, or PF or PR for the passenger side. Now the DF is going to be for the front bracket, and the DRs are going to be for the other 3 brackets along the side. So all you have to do is make sure you've got the right ones for the right side, and then put the front bracket on the front, and the rest all fall into place. So all we have to do is remove the factory bolts that are already in the truck, and once we get those out, we can go ahead and get our brackets installed. All right, now the first 2 bolts that we're going to be removing are right here on the inner rocker panel, just behind the front edge of the door. So they're about 4 inches apart, so we need to remove those with our 12 millimeter socket. Now the next pair of bolts are also on the inner rocker panel here, but they're only about 1 inch or so apart. So we're going to remove both of these, and there are 2 other sets that behind this on the rocker panel that you're going to remove all those as well. And again, we're using our 12 millimeter socket. Now you can repeat that process for the other 2 sets. Now once you've got all of your bolts removed on the driver's side, we can go ahead and install our front bracket first. And we'll be using the supplied bolts with a lock washer and a flat washer as well. Now these are separate in the kit. There's another set of bolts in there that have the flat washer and the lock washer permanently attached. Those are for connecting the side step to the mounting bracket. So the ones that do not have the washers attached are the ones we'll use for attaching the brackets. So we'll just put this up into place. insert our first bolt. We'll insert our second one. Now we're just going to leave these finger tight right now until we get our side steps installed. Now we can go ahead and install our second bracket. So we'll go ahead and insert our bolts. Now, it is a little difficult to see here because of the angle of the bracket, but you'll be able to see exactly how they go in. All right, now you can repeat that process for the other two brackets. All right, now as you can see, we've got all four of our brackets installed and we're ready to put our side step on the brackets. Now the only thing you have to pay attention to when you do this is that the curved end of each of the side steps will be facing towards the inside of the truck. So we'll just slide this on like so. And then as mentioned earlier, we have other bolts that are supplied in the kit that have the washers permanently attached. Those are the ones we'll be using underneath to attach the board to the bracket. There are two holes with threaded inserts in the bottom of the steps that line up with the holes in the brackets. So all we have to do is line those holes up and insert our bolts with the washers attached. Now for now, again, we're just going to leave these finger tight until we get all of them in and we can do our final adjustment. And now you can repeat this process for the other three brackets. All right, now that we've got our steps installed, there is a little bit of adjustment that you can make either outward or inward on the step itself. As you can see, they slide just a little bit, so you can determine how far out you want the steps to be. We're going to go ahead and slide ours all the way out just to give a little bit more room when we step on it. And now we can go ahead and tighten up our bolts. So now we're going to start by tightening up the bolts underneath the step itself. We'll get those all tightened up and then we'll tighten up the bolts on the brackets to the truck itself. So we'll be using a 13mm socket to tighten these bolts up. And now you can repeat that process for the other three brackets. Now, as you can see, because of the way that the bracket is formed, it's going to be very difficult to get the camera in here to show you these bolts that we're going to tighten up now, but you know exactly where they're at. So we're going to go ahead and use our 13mm socket and tighten those brackets up. And now you can go ahead and repeat that process for the other three brackets. All right, now that we've got the driver's side securely installed, you can go ahead and repeat that whole process for the passenger side.
That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the Barricade PNC side step bars in black, fitting 2022 and newer Tundra Crewmax models. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, for everything Tundra, be sure to keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.